do you want to hire the dude who's politically correct, or do you want to hire like the mercenary in the back of the bar picking his nails with like a dagger? You know, that's the dude you want if you're in real trouble.
Meet the legal team fighting a rigged system, defending the indefensible, and taking on the biggest insurance giants in Colorado.
The cops roll up on us because they know he's holding, because he's dressed like he is, you know. But the funny thing is, I know the dude, he's not. You know, they rough him up, put him against the wall, handcuff him the whole nine. They know they're going to score an ounce of weed. You know, they're asking him, where's the ganja, where's the reggae, all that stupid racist, you know, stuff that the cops can sometimes do. And I just remember being so ticked off that it was happening right in front of me. And I was like, yeah, I'm like freaking 18. I don't know what I can do about it. Nothing, right? You can't stop that when it's happening. And just from that point, I wanted to go to law school so I could do something about that.
Welcome back to the Colorado Business Podcast, #1 business podcast in Colorado. Today, I'm joined with my co-host, Chris Seegers. How you doing?
Awesome, man. Awesome. Excited for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So we have a really exciting guest. He's actually helped sponsor our show for the past several months. It just really helped support our show. And it's been such a great support system from you guys. And it's our first day actually meeting. So it's Michael Stuzynski, right?
Yes, sir. Thanks. Great to meet you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So it's Rector Stuzynski Law Firm.
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. Well, let's go all the way from the beginning. Okay. Let's talk about, obviously we're going to talk about your company today, but let's talk about like what got you started in your business and, even upbringing and where you came from as well.
Yeah, no problem, man. I mean, look, I wanted to be a lawyer since I was in college. I grew up in New Jersey, went to Rutgers, the state university there. And I just remember I had a very good friend who was a Jamaican dude. He was the son of the ambassador to the UN from Jamaica. Straight-laced kid, didn't do any drugs, didn't drink, nothing. Walking down the street with this cat one time, and the cops roll up on us because they know he's holding, because he's dressed like he is, But the funny thing is, I know the dude, he's not. You know, they rough him up, put him against the wall, handcuff him the whole nine. They know they're going to score an ounce of weed. You know, they're asking him, where's the ganja, where's the reggae, all that stupid racist, stuff that the cops can sometimes do. And I just remember being so ticked off that it was happening right in front of me. And I was like, yeah, I'm like freaking 18. I don't know what I can do about it. Nothing, right? You can't stop that when it's happening. And just from that point, I wanted to go to law school so I could do something about that, and went to law school, came out to Colorado, went to CU Boulder. And when I graduated, I worked 6.5 years at the public defender's office defending folks from stuff like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did your family have a kind of heritage in the legal industry?
No, not at all. My parents are both dentists, boring as straight-laced as can be.
Wow.
They kind of thought it was silly or weird that I was doing that, but of course they didn't want me to be a dentist either. So it was that, like, I should do something with computers, right?
What kept you in Colorado? Obviously. Yeah, obviously. So that was something that you fell in love with when you were going to college here?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I knew law school, but I mean, I don't know if you guys ever spent any time on the East Coast, but my first house, I was paying less than my mortgage. My parents were paying in property taxes back in New Jersey. Like straight up, it was insane. I was like, I gotta get out of here. You lose some things because there's a beautiful amount of diversity there. Like you can walk down the street in one of the major cities, you can get any kind of food you can think of, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, for sure.
You hear different languages everywhere you go. Different type of people. It's a little bit different coming out here, but it's been great. The nature is worth it for the trade-off.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I lived in upstate New York for quite some time in the 90s. I lived in Rochester, New York. Do you know where Rochester is?
Yeah, it's beautiful too.
Dude, so we were there in the winter of 97, which was famous here in Colorado, but probably even more famous in the East Coast because we got like 60 inches of snow like in one day.
Yeah, you guys would get dumped on up there.
Yeah, and the thing about the East Coast too, which is crazy, is like it snows and then it just never melts. It just turns brown. Yes, and then adds and adds and adds, right? So,
I know, dude. I was the weirdest thing about out here when there's like a foot of snow and then 2 days later it's gone.
It's melted.
Crazy?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh man. So walk us through. So now you kind of walking through how your first few years were out of law school, but what brought you down to Colorado Springs?
Well, really my wife, but I got you. Public defenders, you don't get to choose where you go. So you apply, it's a statewide system. They put you somewhere. I got placed in Castle Rock, which was great. I enjoyed it. It was a small office.
What year was that?
Oh, it was like 202013.
Okay. So before it got big, it was real sleepy.
Well, I mean, I don't know, dude. I talked to the mayor. He has that coffee shop. You know him? He has the coffee shop down there. He used to say it was even sleeper, but it was about as sleepy a town I ever saw when I was there.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's blowing up a lot.
Yeah, it's insane. It was there. I got some cases there. I've been there last couple of weeks. It's amazing how much it's grown.
Yeah.
I think there was a stat actually that said that it was either Douglas County or just Castle Rock was the fastest growing either county or city in America at one point.
Yeah, wow, that doesn't surprise me.
Because
Yeah.
it wasn't very big, and then it doubled in size.
Yeah, they like blew up the Crystal Valley area and everything.
Yep.
You know,
For sure. And good proximity to Denver and Springs, and kind of easy to commute both ways, for sure.
So what brought you down here to the Springs?
Like I said, my wife. You know, my wife lived in Fountain when I met her, and we were dating, and you know, we were like, she was working primarily here. She's an interpreter for the courts and certified interpreter for the courts. So she was working primarily in the Springs back then. I was working in Castle Rock. We bought a home in the north end of Colorado Springs by Briargate to kind of split the difference, you know, to Castle Rock. And then, you know, there's not a lot of weird stuff happens in Douglas County. It's organized retail theft for the most part. Yeah. So after a while, like if you want to put your helmet on and run into the brick wall, I mean, you gotta move out. And there was just a time came and I was like, you know what? A beautiful opportunity opened up with Terry Rector, who is a longtime friend of my wife. He was looking for someone to try some cases. And I said, why not, dude? Let's give it a try. So I came down here and I still have a contract with Alternate Defense Counsel, which still does a court appointed defense for indigent people who can't afford defense. Except now I get to focus on the cases that I want, which are like complex felonies, this kind of stuff that like no normal person could afford a defense for. We really, Beau and I both enjoy that work, pride ourselves on doing that as much as we can. We've got a trial coming up in this later this month for that, and it's going to be good.
Nice.
Yeah. And
why the complicated stuff?
Because boring stuff's easy. Yeah, anyone can do it. You know, I mean, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure someone who prides himself in doing that could come on here and rebut that statement. But you know, law is a very, very niche industry. You know, so much of your work as a lawyer is telling people, I'd love to help you, but that's just not my thing. But I happen to know someone who does that very well. And here they are, you know, to enjoy it. That's our thing. Our thing is really homicide defense, like self-defense type work. And, you know, any type of like complex, serious felony, because there's a lot of moving parts. You have to do a lot of thinking on your feet. And, you know, personally, I think Beau is great at that. So we make a good team.
That's great. Yeah.
So like core focus, what would you say like the big core focus of your guys' firm is now?
Oh, the big core focus, I mean, it depends on the day. I mean, this month, the big core focus is civil rights cases against the police who use excessive force against people. You know, last summer, it was wrongful death cases that we had in litigation against insurance companies that didn't want to pay. You know, we had a wrongful death case at a nursing home. They were saying it wasn't their fault that they allowed this you know, the beloved mother of our clients to pass away in their care. It's just really whatever's going on at the time. But the same kind of thing, like those are really complicated, high stakes cases as well. You know, someone's lost their life or they're, you know, catastrophically injured. They'll never be the same. And you get one shot at not screwing it up. And there's so many ways they're going to try to bait you into screwing it up or bait you into not knowing that you could get more money and stuff like that, you know. I guess it's not for everybody because it can keep you up at night sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a quality difference between a huge firm and a small firm, or not really? It comes down to the talent set of the attorneys.
You know, there's great attorneys at big firms. There's terrible attorneys at small firms, and then there's vice versa. It's you know, one of the things, like, we never wanted to become too big because, you know, if you have more than a certain amount of people working with you, you don't know what they're doing. And then kind of what we're really focusing on is quality representation to individuals in really high stakes cases that we feel like we're uniquely situated to do the best job for.
We're going to take a quick break to thank our sponsors.
You want to tell us a little bit about your business, sir?
Man, a question that we love to ask our potential clients is, do you know what your business is worth? And if you sold your business today, would it fulfill your personal and financial goals? If you're a successful business owner, but you don't know when or how to sell your business, and if you've ever wondered what each additional day in your business is actually costing you, we'd love to chat. If you're ready to spend more time with your family, your friends, or traveling, come sit down with our team, because when you work with exceptional business advisors, we'll help you build a blueprint to sell your business successfully and help you create, capture, and achieve your dream life. Don't wait for the right time. The time's now. Go ahead and scan the QR code or book a discovery appointment at excoadvisors.com.
Rain Tech. Rain Tech is a trusted IT partner that keeps your business running smoothly.
From cybersecurity to cloud solutions and data recovery, they've got your back so you can focus on what you do best.
Learn more at rain.tech. That's RAIN.tech. HR branches.
Is your back office chaos? Are you buried in HR, payroll, and financial guesswork?
Your passion shouldn't be a prison. Savion HQ is your fractional back office partner. We merge HR, payroll, accounting, and tax to bring order to the chaos and make your passion profitable again.
Stop the bleed, get your freedom back. Find us at savionhq.com or email at hello@savionhq.com.
Data Hubs is a compliance, intelligence, and orchestration platform that helps organizations meet the requirements of frameworks like ISO 27001, SOC2, CMMC, HIPAA, GDPR, and more.
Data Hubs gives small and mid-sized businesses a premium compliance experience while cutting down the time, cost, and stress it usually takes to get across the finish line. Learn more at datahubs.com. That's datahubz.com.
Reveal Med Spa. Look and feel your best at Reveal Med Spas. With personalized plans that deliver real results, radiant skin, restored confidence, and natural rejuvenation.
At Reveal Med Spa, we see you more than just aesthetic and wellness treatments. We provide a safe, judgment-free space where you feel valued, heard, and supported.
Visit revealmedspas.com.
I think it is literally just that too. We'll just double check. Book your next session at revealmedspas.com. That's revealmedspas.com. Fast Signs. From banners to vehicle wraps, Fast Signs delivers custom visual solutions to help your business stand out. Their team ensures your message is clear, bold, and effective. Get your signage needed handled at fastsigns.com. That's fastsigns.com.
Dream Accounting Solutions. Take the stress out of managing your books with Dream Accounting Solutions. They provide reliable expert accounting services tailored to small businesses. Simplify your finances at dreamaccountingsolutions.com. That's dreamaccountingsolutions.com.
Exponential Impact. Exponential Impact is driving innovation and entrepreneurial success in Colorado Springs. Supporting startups with mentorship, funding, and community resources, they help businesses grow and thrive. Learn more about their impact at exponentialimpact.com. That's exponentialimpact.com.
And now let's get back to the show.
So, I mean, obviously a lot of that's like personal injury too as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that like a big part of what Stuzynski Law does?
It sure is, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we hold ourselves out as personal injury and criminal defense lawyers. And as I told you, like, we'd love to defend you if you're accused wrongly of a homicide. You wouldn't be able to afford it. The state will pay us hundreds of thousands of dollars to hire a defense team to do it right. But, if you don't have a couple $100,000 sitting around, I mean, you're not going to get a team of investigators, a social worker. You're not going to get an expert ballistics expert. You're not going to get a forensics cell phone guy. You're not going to get a DNA analyst, and you need all those things depending on the type of case it is. If you're charged with something that serious.
What do those cases generally cost?
Like
I know that's all over the place.
$250,000 if you're going to go all the way, and you sure are going all the way on those cases, because it's either go to trial or plead guilty and agree to go to prison for 50, 60 years is what they usually do.
Do you think our justice system is rigged against the small guy?
Oh, heck yeah, for sure.
Because we've been in a couple lawsuits with different groups and different businesses we own, and it almost always is $100,000 to $250,000 to get to a point to say, all right, now let's negotiate that. Is there any sort of reform coming in that space, or is it just, hey, this is the big complex?
Which space? I mean, you talking about in a corporate space, because a lot of that I think is leverage. If someone's coming after you, they know they can bleed you, and that's what they're going to do on purpose, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think just speed to trial and simplifying the process. I mean, that's what we found is it just takes so long to get to whatever that first step is. By the point you've gotten there, if you're going against a bigger corporation or someone with deeper pockets, they're like, yeah, that's just the cost of doing business. And you're like, we're ready to tap out.
Yeah, well, that's a problem. I mean, it depends. Like I said, I don't know that area of law. It's not my specialty, but I'll say it's not what I would be pushing for in what I do. In a personal injury context, for instance, I don't want to go to trial on my client's case next week. I need time to let them get medical care to get all the way better, because if they're not all the way better, I got to ask the jury to give them an amount of money that's going to cover their medical bills. I mean, I might not know what they are until 2 years from now. In some cases, you don't know what they are 3 years out. And those are really scary. Then you're hiring doctors to project what they think they'll need to the best of their ability. What if they're wrong? What if they need more care than that? What if the jury doesn't buy it? I mean, you really want is that record of this is all the stuff that happened to this person. They went to a chiropractor. That didn't work. They gave them injections. That worked for a little while. The first injection worked for 9 months, and they fell over the moon because they thought they were better. They went back. They thought they needed one more. That only worked for 3. The next one worked for, 1 month. All of a sudden they need an ablation. You know what that is when they burn your nerves or something like that? That might work for a year. maybe not. Then you look at something else like corrective surgery, and all of a sudden, and you put that out and present it to a jury, because this person's going to get one shot to get the jury. You know, the jury by design does not know what a case is supposed to be worth. You have to teach them that in that trial. And it's about, you know, not only narrative, but you don't want to, you know, rely too heavily on rhetoric either, because that's just bloviating. But you just present that data too, and you got to get that data. And the same thing in criminal defense. I mean, the more time, the better. It takes a long time for the forensic phone guy to download your, and we had a guy, you know, that straight wasn't doing nothing. They thought he was there. He looked like a guy who looked like the guy that looked like in the video, but, you know, we're able to find, you know, they can get into the phone, they can show where you are. It used to be that if you could show you were at home, that would be that. But now they're like, well, he could have just left his phone at home. Then you do what they call a user profile. They get into the data. They figure between 9 and 11, the dude usually plays whatever video game, or, you know, and they say, well, that's what he's doing between 9 and 11 on the day that you say he's robbing this convenience store.
Interesting.
You know,
That's what got him on the Murdoch murder, right? It was like something with the phone. I believe the famous Murdoch.
Not really familiar. I mean, not really familiar with exactly what happened, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, phones get people all the time anymore. I know it got Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah,
the football guy out in New England.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's so. What do you think, especially like with this new age of technology and the introduction of AI the past several years, and how that's had it's had an effect on every industry, but yours specifically. Talk about obviously those effects, and then obviously like the tools that you've been able to use to kind of speed up your process of like when you're doing your research and garnering your information as well.
Like anything, it's neither, you know, all good or all bad on its face, right? I mean, I'm sure you guys get sold AI tools for your industry all the time, or your business, your podcast, whatever it is, and they'll promise you the moon and the stars, I bet, just like they tell us, oh, you can fire your whole staff tomorrow and use a robot. You know, that stuff is not what we go for. But, you know, as far as like taking multiple complex depositions or looking at multiple days of transcripts and having a tool that can cull through all of that stuff in the moment, because that's the thing. When you're in trial, the one thing you can guarantee is something unexpected is going to happen. You know, when it does happen, are you able to capitalize it in that brief period of time you're going to have to do it? And if you can have it used to be, we'd have like a kid, like an intern, you know, some kid in law school. And like, your job is to know this stuff. So when I say, I know that chick said X, you give me the paper that says when she said it so I can use it. And like I said, neither good nor bad, you know, we still have those kids, you know, because we want to teach people how to do stuff, but we don't need to rely on them anymore. You know, if it's a time where we don't have an intern, use a program called Otter that can do a great job transcribing video and audio files. You use Claude Professional that can search through documents or transcripts, and it saves a lot of time on our end for preparing.
Can you use that during trial?
Oh, you sure can. I mean, because in trial, what you're trying to say, like if you're a witness on the stand, like, I don't recall what I said on that particular day. And I'm like, okay, well, you do remember making a statement to that particular day to this doctor, right? Because you were at that doctor's office. That was an appointment you had. Yeah, okay, I remember that. And you know, you weren't lying to the doctor when you said X, were you? No, of course not. It's like, okay, well, here's you saying X, you know, and I just found that because I can do a control find on the transcript on Otter, highlight the video, press play, and just play that discrete portion, right? Which used to be real cumbersome to do, because I'd be like, okay, kid, find me in the paper where the dude said it, and then I got to go find it on the video, and it takes like a minute. And you know, like minutes matter, you know, when they're watching you like fumble around, getting red under the collar, hoping it works and stuff. Now it's just more seamless. Which is really good.
Gosh, that's crazy. And then there used to be like a transcriber too, right? For every court.
There still is a court reporter. Yeah.
Really?
Not for civil cases. They don't have them, but they have them for criminal cases.
Wow.
Still. Yeah.
What do? They
write down everything that happens. Yeah.
They're still a human being writing it down.
Kind of like Otter. Yeah.
Wow. That's
but they do it better than Otter. I mean, no joke. I mean, Otter will not get it 100%. Like those transcriptionists are great.
Interesting. Yeah, that's wild.
That is pretty wild. It's just, I mean, it's such, and that question alone, I mean, obviously that's probably affected your workforce too, right? As well as like, we were talking a little bit before we started recording about like, you know, garnering the right talent pool for, you know, young attorneys. And you can probably talk about a little bit more. It was your question originally from the beginning, but
yeah, for sure.
You know, how has that affected young talent going into your, and then you can of course add
I think that's great. I mean, how are young attorneys seeing the law profession? Are they seeing AI as a big threat, or are they like, no, this is going to be additional utility to make us more efficient? Or like, what are you guys seeing on recruiting and just how they're seeing technology?
You know, we don't really, our recruiting is a little bit different, I guess. I mean, we got myself and Beau, who you're going to talk to later, but also my stepdaughter, Jessie, who just came out of the public defender's office, and our new kid, Brandon Ames, who came to us as an intern with Alternate Defense Counsel. They vouched for him, said he's a law student, wanted to learn how to do this type of stuff, and asked if we'd take him on. We said, sure. So that's our experience in recruiting, staying kind of small by design, really. But I imagine, talking to people, talking to law students, because I still do some outreach, with law students or folks from Rutgers that want to go to law school. Some of them still call me for whatever reason, and they're kind of daunted by I'm not going to get a big law job. And I'm like, think about whether you really want to do that. It used to be like the best paying jobs out of school would be sitting in a room with a box of paper and highlighting the stuff that you were told was important. And that's got to be soul crushing. Pay you $160,000 to do it or whatnot. But I don't think it's any big loss those jobs go away. Start teaching people how to actually be lawyers, because one of the things that I think is a problem in our industry is, everyone thinks a lawyer costs $300-$400 an hour, and not for it shouldn't for everything. That prices you out of certain things, like you were talking about. Like you're gonna have to spend $100,000 proving a point against some deep-pocketed corporation, or if you're charged with a pointless crime, like let's say you're charged with a misdemeanor, obstructing of a peace officer, which is like the garden variety thing a cop's going to do if they're like, I'm ticked at you, but you didn't really do anything wrong. You walked away from me, you turned away from me, so I'm going to jam you up. You think it's no big deal, but what if you have a top secret security clearance? Then you're going to lose everything. So you got to pay some guy $7,500. I think it shouldn't be that way. You can choose to pay someone $7,500 if you want, but there's plenty of folks that can use these tools I'm talking about to really cut the work down on something like that.
Interesting.
Because it used to take a long time to read through everything, watch not just watch, but like multiple times watch the body cam, transcribe it by hand, have someone else transcribe it by hand. You're obviously still paying for the court time. Like that's not going to get cut down, but that prep work that goes into before the court time, I've seen that become reduced just in my career.
And is that being passed on to the client generally or not? Or is that something that's coming? Because when we chatted a little bit before, there's in every white collar service business, AI technology is coming in and selling them like, hey, if you spent 500 hours on this, now you can spend 100, but still bill your client the same 500, which I don't think is the way the market's going to go.
That's messed up.
Yeah, I agree. It should just make us more efficient, and the product or service should get less expensive. How do you see that?
Our business is not an hourly based business. Our thing is not out there being like, you're getting a bill for my time every hour I spend. All of our personal injury and civil rights work, all of our civil work is contingency fee based. So it means they don't pay and lessen until we win. So what it does is it cuts down on the time where we're doing like rote wonky work, and gives us more time to kind of sit around and do high level thinking, high level strategy. Like, how is this going to play out or that? We're still spending time, but it's the kind of time you like get up in the morning looking forward to spend at work. Not like, crap, man, I gotta highlight this, and this. I gotta make sure I can press play at the right minute on this video. I know my client had this independent medical evaluation. It was recorded. I got to listen to it 1,000 times to memorize it, so I know how to use it. It just saves all of that kind of time, and just, shoot, one of the times we were thinking, there's this famous doctor that's hired by all the insurance companies to say your client's like fat or whatever, and that's why they hurt, because it's their fault, or they lied about it. And the dude gets paid like, $800,000-$900,000 a year to do this, to sit in depositions and testify at trial that these people are faking it. And, Beau had this awesome idea, because we're sitting around like, what are we going to do? We've got all this stuff. We know what to say. Like, you made this much money last year, because, we have that paperwork. We're prepared for it. He's just like, hey, I wonder where this asshole lives. Right. So you find out, we put our legal assistant on it, who's really good with social media. She finds out he's got like a $5 million house,
oh my
like
gosh,
a shoe closet, like a grand piano, and all this stuff's like
it's the grand piano that really got
just like click receipts, and we're like, well, this is something no one's ever done before, obviously, because otherwise this dude's stuff wouldn't be all public. And it's just kind of stuff like that. It frees you up to think about. And it wasn't because that happened, like we never got to court to land that punch, but we're at a mediation being like, this is going to be cool when your doctor says this. And they're like, and then all of a sudden they settle. I wonder what changed. What was different about that? Yeah. I was really proud of Beau for having that idea. I thought that came together great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, no joke. Do you think that because you seem pretty young still?
I'm 38. I'm
okay.
39 soon.
Yeah, so pretty young still. Do you feel like it sounds like you love this stuff.
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
I mean, you're just griffing and you're
Yeah.
just like talking details of like
Mhm.
things that are just like, I'm like, you're just going and going and going. You can tell
Yeah.
that there's a lot of passion behind this. Did you have an accelerated career based off your passion? Meaning, did you find yourself having a lot more traction in your industry versus someone else who came out of law school at the same time? Because I'm assuming your partner, right, with your name on there as
Yeah.
well, which is a big deal for someone so young. Talk about that, your passion and like that ability to, you know, insert your passion into your career and having that help you as far as the traction is concerned.
Well, the first thing I'll say is I appreciate you glazing me a little bit, but you know, being a partner, you know, I mean, it can
Hey, you
be
know
a
those
lot
young
of things.
terms, glazing.
Yeah,
all right.
right. But, I mean,
That's what the new
realistically,
kids are saying.
I feel like everybody that works at our office has that drive and that passion, which is what I love about the office we've helped to build. You know, I mean, all of us share in everything that we do. You know, everyone's in court. No one really tries a case by themselves. That's one of the things we take seriously because we figure, you know, two people with time to collaborate are better than one person doing like whatever they think they can. But you know, maybe, I guess, I mean, I think have a greater aptitude for it when I was a public defender more than the other folks that I was colleagues with for the most part. You know, I've got some friends that went on to be public defenders because they seriously believe in it. But, you know, I was trying to eat as much as I could and just take like, hey, I want to be on a murder case. They're like, calm down, kid. You're like 9 months into the game, you know, but I'm like, I want that stuff. I mean, that for some reason interested me for whatever reason.
That's awesome.
I mean, it sounds amazing. And like, I can only imagine when you're just kind of, you know, you're green still, but you're getting out there and you want to expose yourself to the more complicated cases. What does that look like when you first get on your first one? Is it overwhelming? Is it everything that you wanted? Is it kind of all the above?
I don't know. I mean, I have a different, philosophy about it because we're putting Jessie on some big cases and she's like, are you sure? I'm like, you're so worried about how bad you're going to screw it up that you're guaranteed to do a better job than somebody who phones it in. And that's kind of how I felt like I was. I mean, when I came out of the public defenders and joined up with Terry Rector, we were going to try some crazy wrongful death case against some company that left some barrels out on the highway some dude ran into by accident and died because they were not reflected correctly. And it was a real problem with their negligence. And I was up every day to like 1 a.m. reading this stuff. And on the weekends, I'm like, well, he's trusting me with it. This dude's dead. You know, I'm representing his wife. This is terrible. I've got to come through for them, you know? So I feel like, you know, when you're reaching for that level, you're just going to go the extra mile.
How is it to read through all this stuff, to defend all these things, and then go home? Like, are you able to just leave some of this at the office? Is it something that kind of just sits with you all the time? We've got a lot of friends, you know, on the police side, and man, those guys struggle because they're
talking about the homicide cops.
Yeah, I mean, just reading this stuff every day. And who
are your friends? We probably know them.
Well, I won't say.
No, honestly, dude, we really like the homicide squad in this town. I'll tell you, like they're on par with like the FBI.
That's
you can
good.
ask Beau about that. He did a lot of federal defense work, but they do great work.
That's good.
Like Ed Crowfoot, you know, we love that dude. You know, he's a good dude. You know, I wouldn't say anything bad about any of the homicide cops.
But as you think about like them dealing with it and you dealing with reading through these cases, that's a pretty heavy thing to be looking at all the time. Yeah. And thinking about, is that something you go home with, or like, how does that work out?
I'm going to move you over just a teeny bit. No, you're good.
Yeah. I mean, I think you kind of develop a twisted sense of humor for sure. But I mean, I know for a fact, I mean, you're out in the hallway shooting it with those guys and you're laughing at stuff that most people wouldn't laugh at, you know. But you know, what are you going to do, right? You got to deal with it somehow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that makes your passion for justice more jaded, or do you feel like it drives you more to know, like, hey, there's always people doing bad things? Like, how do you deal with it? Because it's a perpetual problem. That's like, man, we're always going to be solving inhumanity or injustice.
Oh, I mean, that's not just that's not even on the criminal defense side only, right? I mean, it's on. Someone's always going to be doing something stupid, right? And the age-old question is like, is it really their fault? Like, do they have the free will to do it? Are they the victim of circumstances? Are they, if they're an adjuster, are they getting pressure from the top, or are they just a turd? I mean, I don't know. I believe, you know, in radical personal responsibility up to the point that like I'm responsible for other people's decisions to do bad things in a certain way, right? Like that type of weird stuff. So I try to kind of just set an example by the way I conduct myself. I try to be friendly to people. You know, I'm like, I'm not out there, fuck you. Like, you know, you're a cop, so I don't like you, and I don't like anyone like you, or all cops do this, or, you know, all cops are good, or all cops are bad, or all insurance adjusters are bad, or whatever. You know, I just try to be straight with them because I know they're trying to do something. and hopefully they'll live long enough to change the way they think about things,
Mhm.
you know, in that situation. Beau and I have made, you know, we've defended cops who were charged with serious crimes as well. And we've made some alliances. I wouldn't say friends, like, you know, they don't come over and play cards with us or nothing, but like, you know, you see them out and you're friendly and they come to our golf tournament, and it's, you know, that is not an experience that I think a lot of our colleagues have. You know, same thing, like some friends with some insurance defense attorneys too, because they look at it a certain way, you know, and if you treat them like, you know, give them the double bird at every opportunity and tell them they're scumbags, they're not going to want to work with you.
For sure.
So,
Do you think everyone is genetically good or bad?
well, that's a good question, dude. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that I believe in evil in the certain sense, which I'm sure is what you wanted to talk about today, right? Though evil exists in the gaze that perceives evil all around it, is the way I think about it. You know, that your fear, you know, that guy walking down the street might do me harm, causes you to take some type of precaution that may do injury to him or someone else, or to retreat, you know, from offering help to somebody because out of fear. And that's really what evil is. And I see like people commit crimes usually because they're afraid. You know, they're afraid of running out of money for drugs. A lot of times they're afraid that dude might kill them first. You know, they're afraid that if they don't steal to feed for their family, they're going to lose their house. These are all reasonable things. You know, that doesn't mean someone is evil, in my opinion.
Yeah. Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Right.
It's like getting past those basic needs. Yeah. That's interesting.
You're
at the sophisticated level, it's still, I mean, there's that fear that drives you, like the anxieties that drive me are like, I want to do the best I can for the people I've promised to do the best I can for, in fact, you know. But I'm sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good. I wanted you to finish your point. I was just going to say, like, you're very, like, it's easy to relax around you.
Yeah.
And
I get that not a lot. Yeah.
You're the first person, Mark.
Yeah. You're like, it's just like, I could tell, like, you're comfortable in who you are, and you don't have to like put on something for us, which is great. And I think it makes you very approachable for a lot of your clients. And I think that's probably why you have a good pull and a lot of good retention probably from a lot of your client base, just because like it's easy to kind of sit in with you and just be comfortable. That's hard around lawyers, man. I mean, I've been around a lot of attorneys and lawyers, like I've been around a lot, and that's something that's a challenge for a lot of them. And so you have that natural ability. I think that's probably why a lot of people, I mean, beyond you winning a case for them, have trusted you. Do you see that? Do you see that as part of like your ethos of your business? Or?
I mean, I see that as in I'm very lucky. I think that, you know, not to speak to the other folks I work with, I think all of us are very lucky because we get to do what we actually love to do, instead of like, you know, you're in law school and you're scared about everything. And like, if you do 2 spaces after a period, they'll never hire you. And you're like, I got an idea. Fuck that. I won't work for them, you know, or whatever it is. But like a lot of people are worried about not keeping a job, or like not putting on a certain face for somebody. And I'm like, you know, if you're in trouble, you know, do you want to hire the dude who's politically correct, or do you want to hire like the mercenary in the back of the bar picking his nails with like a dagger? You know, that's the dude you want if you're in real trouble, like no matter what kind it is. Like, yeah, this is a, you know, I don't want to say it's a game because it's very serious, but like in a way there are rules, there are set parameters, set moves you can do. We love playing within those parameters and trying to push the boundaries of what can be achieved there, you know? And I mean, all of us are like, I think you'll learn that too when you talk to Beau. I mean, you'd learn that if you talk to Jesse or Brandon too. They're always looking for like a different way to solve a problem, you know, because any case looks like an insoluble problem. You know, you're going to think like, well, the insurance companies advertisements on television, like they're friendly. You know, why do I need a lawyer? That's a myth they perpetrate too. Like, oh, you don't need a lawyer. They'll just take some of the money, right? Yes, they're greedy. They're the reasons your rates are so high anyhow, right? Well, ask yourself this: you think bad faith cases would exist more or less if there weren't personal injury lawyers? Maybe like 15% of our work is insurance bad faith, and they all started with us negotiating the insurance company. You think they'd get increase or decrease in frequency? You know, and it's just it's insane. Like they just want you to think that you don't need one. You know, they want you to think you don't need one when you're talking to the police. Like they're just being your friend. We had a murder case. Beau probably talked to you about this if you ask him. And we had a murder case where they're literally aw-shucking this dude, and he doesn't say he did anything, but then they flip it all on him because they got nothing else. Because this was in Pueblo, where the cops are not quite as good as they are here. You know, the cops here wouldn't have done it that way.
Interesting.
Believe it. Do you, I mean, obviously you mentioned golf scramble and you got
Yeah,
golf
yeah,
tournaments.
yeah.
So talk about some of your community things too, as well. Because it sounds like you guys have been rooted here for quite some time. I mean, before you, right?
Oh yeah,
Terry was here, right?
Terry and his dad were here like 70 years, 75 years, I think, coming up.
That's crazy, man.
But yeah, Terry's dad used to be the DA of what used to be the 4th Judicial District, and he's served Colorado Springs. I mean, he served his country in World War II as well before that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, the Chip In for Children's our major event that we do every year. We are lucky enough to raise like $35,000 this year for Children's Hospital, which was
Cool.
great. You know, we try to involve as many people as we can. Like I said, some of the cops came this last year. Not this year, they missed it, but the year before, we got folks from Corwin, Toyota, from all over the place. You know,
That's great.
yeah.
How'd you connect with that giving focus?
Oh, that's actually a great. I mean, it was Zach's idea. Actually, I mean, I had approached him by wanting to do some charitable work. You know, really, because I'm a turd, and I was trying to stick it to some big people in the industry that I'm not going to name on the airwaves that are like, oh, I do this and this and this for like this multinational sports team or, company. I'm like, great, bro. You're going to simp for them. Like, what about cancer kids or anything?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, well, it just so happens that before COVID, this thing used to exist. So you guys could pick it up. And I was like, that's great. Zach's been great guiding, cause I spend all my time doing law stuff, and I have like loose ideas about other things, but Zach's really helpful to guide those into some actionable things that are really good. We also did some work with Green Beret Racing that I really enjoyed.
Nice, man.
The dude I met at Lifetime when I used to lift there, formed that they blew up, by the way. You should look into them. They've come a long way. When I met him one day in the gym, and they were just like starting out. They had like a ragtag group of guys with a really great mission to try.
What are they doing?
They're trying to provide actionable assistance to combat veterans who are, trying to, reacclimate back into society that are really like struggling. Like they don't want to go to therapy because they're in the special forces and that's not how they work. So they're like, all right, well, we're going to train you to climb Denali or to compete in the Mint 400 or something like that. And that's something that they found a lot of resonance with in the special forces community. We just went to an event in November that they had, and it was like 5-6 times as big as I remember it was last time we went to one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, that's incredible.
But I mean, to answer your question, which I seem to have failed to do so far, I mean, it's part of like, I live here. I've lived here since I've lived here since 2017 now. And it's just like, I want my community to be what something I'm proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to be what it is if I'm just walking around doing stuff for we're just doing stuff for ourselves.
For sure.
Beau will talk to you about the stuff he does for youth sports because his kids are going through that right now. And you're trying to like build the world that makes you proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And who's Zach, by the way? Just so our folks
Zach,
at home know.
Zach Ledbetter from NLA Media. Yeah,
Nice.
he's been our advertising guy going on 5-6 years now. We've had a great relationship with them.
Nice.
Awesome. I think he's behind the camera, so
Yeah.
you guys plug, so that's good.
Yeah, it was weird 'cause when you pretended not to know who he was. I got
Our
confused.
viewers need to know.
You're
Our
like,
viewers
he's
need to know.
laughing back there.
Yeah.
What's happening here?
Just picking his nose, right? Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, we're going to switch out here in a sec
Sounds
with Beau, but before we let you go, I want to talk a little bit about like lasting legacy. Obviously, you've been really inserted in your business for some time now. What does legacy look like for you after you get done with what you're doing at the law firm? Is something where you want to keep in your family? Like, what does that look like for you?
I don't know. I didn't really think about that because legacy to me is kind of like what's the next complicated, cool case that's going to come in that we can help someone with. Obviously my stepdaughter is a new lawyer at our firm, but realistically, I'm not related to Terry. And I think he was very happy that Beau and I shared the vision he had for what his father began to build. And it's not really so much like a name of a person, so much as an idea of like selfless dedication to helping people and building your community. And really, if someone takes it over, from Indiana that shares that vision, I'd be happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And the only last thing, because I had to
Yeah.
have it pop up in my head, Stuzynski.
Yeah.
Is
Polish.
Okay. Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. This has gone by so quick with your
Yeah,
time.
for
So
sure.
it's been really good, Michael, having you here. And then we'll do the little switch route. But
Sounds good.
yeah, we'll do that right now. We'll switch you out real quick with Beau, and
All
then
right.
we'll jump back in. We'd like to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Lightning Glassworks and Screens. Lightning Glassworks and Screens is Colorado's go-to for fast, reliable window and glass repair.
Family owned for over 30 years, their mobile service team brings glass in a flash right to your home or business.
Call or text 719-649-4001 or visit fastglassrepair.com.
Lightning Glassworks, Colorado Springs, the local experts in glass repair, and window replacement.
Brightleaf Energy. Brightleaf Energy is revolutionizing how businesses approach sustainability.
They're the experts in building decarbonization, bringing collaboration, innovation, and flexibility to every project.
Whether you need a strategic decarbonization roadmap or flexible engineering support to scale your team, Brightleaf helps you crush your ESG goals while optimizing facility performance.
Learn more at brightleafenergy.com. That's brightleafenergy.com.
Junkin Hall.
Need to clear out clutter fast?
Junkin Hall is Colorado Springs' go-to for same-day junk removal.
With the eco-friendly service and a 5-star team you can trust.
Visit junkinhall.com to schedule your free estimate today. That's JUNKNHAUL.com.
Bolton Co. Executive Coaching.
Up feels better than stuck. You know that. But in this market, how do you get unstuck and get ahead as an executive?
Our guy JB is an executive coach at Bolton Co. Coaching, where he believes you don't have to change who you are. You just need an injection of effectiveness and a proven competitive edge roadmap for your way up. Head to boltonco.net. That's boltonco.net. Be Our Guest Getaways. Be Our Guest Getaways specializes in Disney cruise resort and theme park vacations.
Planning a Disney vacation can be stressful. Let Be Our Guest Getaways provide you with concierge-level service for free.
Learn more at beourguestgetaways.com. That's beourguestgetaways.com.
Planet Duct. Planet Duct is the #1 choice for professional air duct cleaning in Colorado Springs and Southern Colorado. With state-of-the-art equipment and top-tier service, they make sure the air in your home or business is clean and allergen-free. Breathe easier with Planet Duct. Learn more at planetduct.com.
Awesome Home Services. Awesome Home Services delivers top-notch HVAC solutions for your home. Whether you need heating, cooling, or system maintenance, they ensure your comfort year-round. Visit awesomeservice.com for your HVAC needs. That's awesomeservice.com.
Proud American Electrical and Solar.
Give Proud American Electrical and Solar a call today for all your electrical and solar needs. They are locally owned and operated business right here in Colorado Springs. If you're looking for information on solar, this is the company you will want to call. Check out their website at proudamericansolar.com. Use promo code COSBusiness for a 5% discount today.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care offers affordable, accessible healthcare with a focus on you. They provide exceptional primary care without the hassle of insurance barriers. Experience a patient-centered approach. Learn more at pinnacleapc.com.
And now let's get back to the show. All right. Well, we switched out with Beau Worthington. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Good. Well, Michael was great. I'm excited to talk a little bit about you too as well. So let's do the same thing for you. Let's start from the beginning. What got you into law? Where you come from, so on and so forth.
Okay. First, long time, first time. I listen to you guys' podcasts all the time while I'm at the gym and running and stuff. So thanks for having me.
Oh, awesome, man.
I had a very discursive path to becoming an attorney. I wish I could say that I've always wanted to do it and that it was a lifelong dream of mine. It wasn't. My brother was that guy. He always wanted to be a lawyer. He's a lawyer in Georgia, where I grew up. And I came out of high school. I went to college for a couple years. I took some time off. I went back. I originally thought about going and doing like accounting. Figured out I was terrible at math. And so that being, the problem.
Yeah.
And so my brother was he had then passed me and was a couple years ahead of me. He had started thinking about law school and applying and taking the LSAT and that sort of thing. And I thought, well, that's probably something I could do. It seemed interesting. There's the thing about being an attorney, you can kind of pick so many different areas, whether it's business or, we do litigation. So, criminal defense and personal injury and that kind of, there's just a lot of stuff you can a lot of different areas you can go to. So, that's how I got into it. I didn't really I got into the criminal law arena while I was in law school. My wife's brother got me an internship at a DA's office in Metro Atlanta. I was there for about 2 years or so. And then came out and went to private practice. I had sort of a general trial practice in Metro Atlanta. Came out here about 5.5 years ago. So, and then I met up with
Michael about, well, really sort of from day one, but we ended up, I came in the house with him about 2.5 years ago.
That's awesome. How was the transition, first and foremost, Atlanta market to like a Colorado Springs market? I can only imagine the size difference and the activity difference. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk about that.
So, it's different. Atlanta is, obviously it's a major population center of the Southeast. Yeah,
You're good.
I'm moving around. You're not supposed to do that when you're on camera and microphones.
No,
and
you're
stuff.
good.
Sorry. So Atlanta, major population center. Obviously there's things there that are unique to Atlanta. The practice of law, at least in the areas that I do, wasn't, some things were different, but a lot of it was more similar than maybe, at least I thought when I made the transition, from Atlanta to Colorado. Criminal defense, which I do a lot of, it's, you have constitutional kind of floors. So that there's always going to be sort of this Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable searches and seizures. There's sort of a federal baseline for that. Each state has this permutation of certain things, but it was a lot easier than I thought. I was 42 or 43 when we moved out here. So I've been practicing for a while, and it was like kind of starting all over again. Like it was sort of all the same first day out of law school jitters and that sort of stuff. I was fortunate when I came out here, I was at least a smarter version of myself, knew to sort of stay with smart attorneys that had experience that could sort of show me the way. And so fortunately I hooked up with Michael pretty early on. And so he's been a really good influence in that respect.
What drew you out to Springs? What was the attraction?
So my wife's dad retired out here.
Okay.
This is going to sound like, I don't know, but he retired out here, and we used to come to Colorado Springs to vacation pretty regularly.
Nice.
When we were dating, and then we eventually got married. We had wanted to move out here for a long time. The lifestyle is different. It's a lot more geared towards, I guess, our personalities. We like doing things outdoors. Even we like cold weather. Even in the snow. I mean, there's always something to kind of do outdoors most days here. And that was really attractive to us. So that lifestyle change. So COVID happened. And I had a practice in Atlanta and had another law partner. And so we had talked about this for a while, and we thought, well, things started to slow down enough where we thought this is the off ramp. If we're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And so we, in July of 20, packed up, we thought, well, the kids won't resent us forever over this. So this is the time to do it. So
how old are your kids?
I was going to ask the same thing. How old are your kids?
So now my daughter is 12 and my son's he'll be 10 later this month. So Andrew was 4 and Hallie was, she had her 7th birthday when we were out here, when we first moved out. So they were still pretty young. So
how have they liked it?
They love it.
Love it.
Yeah, they love it. We had a great network of friends in Atlanta. So that was tough because we weren't really sure. There's always the unknown. It's that like I do a lot of sports analogies. So there was this GM, I forget what football team, but he was always talking about making trades for players. He's like, you always know kind of what you're getting rid of. You never know what you're getting back. And that was kind of a true axiom in making a cross country move. Like we knew what we were leaving. We didn't know what we were getting into when we came out here. But it's been great. It's been, one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. So I'm glad that we did it.
That's awesome. I have a weird question. So
okay,
you guys see all these cases. What do you think? What do you think El Paso County or Springs? What's one of the biggest issues we've got to solve as a city that's holding us back?
That's a really good question. I think, and I've thought this for a long time, and this isn't really like an El Paso County, Colorado issue. Mental health is one of these things that like people like to talk about, but people don't like to do anything about it. And I think when you look at sort of the history of how mental health was dealt with the judicial system and sort of quasi-governmental agencies, there was a shift away from really sort of a centralized like governmental approach in the 80s. Sometime like the early to mid 80s that sort of shifted, and now people like to talk about, well, mental health is you need to think about this with your mental health, you need to think about that, but no one really does anything about it. I say all that because I think a lot of I'm sure a lot of politicians would say homelessness is a problem, drugs are a problem. All that I think is traceable back to mental health, and the legal system really does. Legal system does a lot of things good, but dealing with mental health is just not something that really like police or the judicial system is really geared for. There needs to be some sort of third way to do it, and I don't know what that is. There's people smarter than me that could probably give you better ideas about it, but I think that dealing with mental health, addressing it and having resources is probably the one thing that I think all communities, especially recently, I think really could address in a way that would help alleviate problems with homelessness, sort of petty like broken window kind of crimes where theft, car theft, property crimes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's really good, man, because we're trying to treat the symptoms instead of trying to figure out how do we reverse engineer into the root cause,
right,
and start working on that. And I think that's what we as society do really poorly. It's easier to try kind of be like, oh, the symptom's this, let's throw a bunch of money at it, instead of saying, man, it's a really hard problem to say, well, where is this mental health kind of like movement coming from, this issue coming from? And we've had it with all of our employees of just, people are struggling, especially since COVID, to figure out what's the new normal. How do I establish health, both mentally, spiritually, physically? And it's a real deal.
Yeah, I think there's some, with COVID, I still think that we're sort of adapting to things that, like, there's this sort of a huge lifestyle shift, right? Where people are working remotely and maybe they've got more time on their hands for recreation, but then they've also got this sort of uncertainty about what is COVID, what's happening, and I think it's just something that sort of unmoored us as a society where it's, we're still kind of dealing with how do we adjust to things like, now quasi remote work, or even jobs that were around pre-COVID. And, you talked with Michael about AI, some of those things are being replaced. And I think it's just a lot of uncertainty,
For sure. Yeah.
So I don't know. COVID was a weird time. I still think we're dealing with some of that stuff. So and I think a lot, I don't say a lot of it, but some of it can be traced back to mental health.
Yeah, for sure.
And
I agree.
You moved during COVID, or did you move like right after?
I moved right. So in Georgia, like the shutdown, where everybody kind of worked from home, happened in like March or April of 20. We moved out here in July.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was right in it was a weird time because we moved all the way across the country, like hotels, a lot of them weren't open. We stayed in one place. I forget where it was. We stayed in one place where like we were the only people on the floor. It was just a weird time for any of that kind of stuff.
Oh man,
Absolutely.
That's gnarly. Yeah, I want to talk to you about it because you mentioned your kids, and everybody here, well, except for me actually, and Andrew, have kids. But
True.
I want to talk about balance, work-life balance with you, especially being an attorney. That is probably something, especially when you were starting, that was a big challenge. But talk about that, because I think one can imagine one thing, but I want to kind of get it from you as far as the reality of that situation.
So, old lawyer judge friend of mine in Georgia used to say that the law is a very jealous mistress. It'll want a lot of your time, and that it's very easy to get really busy, and to the point where you start to neglect other things in your life. And that's why, you look at attorneys, they have some of the highest rates of like substance abuse, marriages fall apart, that kind of thing. It's not a surprise. It's a very taxing job, because you hear like, what Michael and I do, we deal with people usually at their worst moment. They've been in a car wreck and they're catastrophically injured. They've been arrested and their whole life is upside down. Their whole family's life is upside down because they've got to figure out now, how do we deal with this sort of new reality? But then you take all that and you're sort of sworn to secrecy, right? Because everything you talk about with the client is confidential. So it's not like you can come, there's like very few places you have that outlet. So the people that you work with become important because they're sort of your sounding board. They're sort of your levity. They maintain, what you're as normal as you can be. And so it's easy when you first start being an attorney to let that kind of wash over you and not be able to manage it. So the one thing about coming out here that was, the reset for me was that I had some idea of kind of, this is what I don't want to do. I don't want to get, overworked. I don't want to, I was guilty of that in Atlanta where I was, working 10, 12-hour days. And then, add to that an hour commute each way. And so, that was neglecting my home life. And when we came out here, I was like, I don't want to do that again. And so that was a priority. It can be difficult, I think, for young lawyers, people new to the profession, really in any profession, to maintain that, because you want to, our society's kind of how hard, we put a really high emphasis on how hard you work, and there's, it's interesting because when you go to other countries, it's not like that, like there's, you're expected to work, some European countries, like you have to leave when your 8 hours is up. That's it. You go home. You have to. And then we have this concept of like overtime and working like uncompensated labor and that kind of thing. So it's easy, I think, for anyone to get pulled in that direction where you're, you get spread really thin. And I was guilty of that too. So that was when we came out here, that was a priority for me.
And how do you think you've juggled it? Has it improved?
Yeah, it has.
Cool.
It has. It has. I try to, my kids are a really great outlet for that because they're at an age where they have stuff going on. And so some of that pulls me out of the office, and that's like a really good safety valve for me. So I get to go do like softball games and baseball games and soccer tournaments and stuff like that. So that's always a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. We had a client in this morning actually, and we were talking about the same issue. They're working on buying a business and they were talking about, all right, what should we expect? And I said, the mental model that's worked for us is seasons. And a season could be a day, it could be a week, it could be a year, but you should expect that there's times when we need to prioritize work. Work is really important.
Yep.
The things we do is important. Hopefully hopefully we're all doing important work, but then there's times when the family is priority and not letting those seasons get too much out of alignment. But there's times when you're like, hey, I want to go spend 7 days with my family uninterrupted, and you should.
Yeah.
But there's also times I've seen kind of in society, this like pendulum swing where now all the adults are just like coaching every one of their sports teams and doing everything with their kid and are mediocre at their jobs a lot of times. And I'm like, man, to me, that seems like bad stewardship of one piece of your life.
Right.
And we always seem to swing, maybe based on our parents being workaholics, but it's been really interesting.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think the challenge, at least for myself, was that I really like what I do. And this is going to sound corny, but like I got into this business because I like helping people. And so like that's kind of a natural driver for me. Like and so you think when you have downtime, like what can I do now to help someone? But it with the way we are, again, back to COVID, now that we have like remote work, and people are expecting you to be available through WebEx or email or whatever. Sometimes you have to say like, what can I do to kind of help myself? Now, some people have the exact opposite problem, like you said, where they don't want to do anything but help themselves.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that, but that wasn't really my background. My parents weren't lawyers; they worked really hard for not a lot of money. So that was that's kind of my upbringing was you're always kind of you always want to work really, really hard to get whatever you got. And the little bit that we did have, they both worked really hard for that. So I don't have that problem. Some people do, but I always kind of push myself, I think, to do more.
Yeah,
and you definitely have to take time to take a time out.
Yeah. One thing with this podcast, even, so I've got 3 young kids, 9, 7, and 5. And they hate it when I'm not home for dinner and we're hanging out. But I've been like really clear just to tell them what's going on. I'm like, hey, we're part of a podcast and our goal is to improve Colorado Springs. And so we want to improve communication, bring on cool people to tell their stories and make this place a better place for you. I'm not just going to a bar to drink beers. Right. Like I'm not going to do something that, and not that that's a bad thing, but when I'm doing something important and I'm taking time away from my spouse or the kids, I'm just like, this is part of our family's mission, right? This is what we do. So, and that, who knows? I mean, they still think it sucks, but maybe when they get older, they'll remember it.
Well, you never know. I mean, kids understand a lot more than we give them credit for, I think. So, that's definitely, I think that's a good strategy, communication and just being, straightforward with kind of what's going on. I think that's a good strategy to have.
I could tell you on the flip side of that, my mom was a very high impact executive in the newspaper industry when newspapers were at their height. And I remember the sacrifice, but I'm so appreciative of what she did and sacrifice and selfless love to provide a life for my brother and sister that, I mean, was so amazing.
Right.
And I'll never forget that. I know there was a lot of sacrifices for that. And so on the flip side of that, like as that 5 or 7 or 9-year-old, like it meant everything, to me. I just had the understanding. She made that crystal clear, just kind of like you are, is like, I'm trying to make an impact, not only for like our family, but like for my career and for the community. I mean, newspapers and media, but it was very important to me as a child of someone who's like a higher achiever, I guess, if you will, or doing something meaningful or impactful. It doesn't even have to be a high achiever, right? Just something that's impactful for them, And so it was so important.
Yeah. When you see your parents pursuing something they're passionate about, it really reinvigorates the American dream, which is just basically we can do anything we set our minds to. Like we have the freedom and autonomy in this country to build whatever we want to. And the source of all wealth is the human mind. And there's a bunch of geniuses that are playing it safe. And I think our kids are watching us to say like, oh, they're kind of phoning it in. Maybe there's not really that good of an opportunity in Colorado Springs anymore.
Yeah.
And we've fought against that, man. I think this is the greatest city in America. I wouldn't be here otherwise.
It's I'll tell you. So when I came here, we talked a little bit about differences, what was different, from the legal perspective, but just from a social perspective, like, so the South, everyone talks about like Southern hospitality and that sort of thing. And that's true to a degree. But there are circles in the South that like can make you very easily feel like you're on the outside looking in, especially if you're not like from a specific part of, a region, or you're not from a specific family, that kind of thing. None of that was present when I came here. Everyone was very like open. When I told them like, hey, I just moved here, it was, let me introduce you to this guy. Let me introduce you to this guy. These people will help. And it was great because like, Colorado Springs has a very transient, population with, all the military bases we have here and that sort of thing. And so I think that was like the one thing that really stood out to me was it seemed like everyone, because very few Coloradans are from Colorado.
Yeah.
That everyone sort of went through that, like being the new kid in school, so to speak. And that was great because everyone sort of reached out, put me especially in a position to meet people like, Michael and Terry and that kind of thing. So it really worked out. And I think that's something that doesn't get talked enough about Colorado Springs. Because everyone thinks we're sort of Denver's little brother, but that was the one thing I think it's like you said, it's a great city. It's sort of the perfect size. It's big enough that you got everything, but it's also small enough where you can connect with, movers and shakers very easily.
For sure. I heard Denver's going to be our little brother soon.
Yeah.
Soon.
We're on the street.
That's what's coming.
It'll be here before you know it.
That's right.
It's honestly, when you live here or even when you visit here, it's easy to see why this is a really fast growing area. So
for sure. I love that.
Well, I have to ask you a boring question because we've been doing some research from you guys, and this whole concept of tort reform came up, and I read up on it, kind of was trying to explain to Chris?
I did
before?
not.
Sure.
We don't know what it means.
Yeah,
So we
and
need
we
you
still
to
didn't
explain
come
it
to a
us.
conclusion of what it actually means. Can you explain that for us?
Sure. So just about every year, there's a push by insurance companies. Sometimes it'll be the automotive industry, automotive insurance industry. Sometimes it's homeowners. But they'll make this push to say, well, hey, listen, we've got a way to make insurance rates more affordable. It's these, personal injury lawyers that are making, mountains of money on personal injury cases, or, suing us, or that kind of thing. I've seen a little bit of all of the above, at least as it relates to sort of bad faith litigation. Bad faith litigation is, I want to oversimplify this, but your insurance company didn't do something it's contractually obligated to do. We have sort of a fluctuating caseload with bad faith cases where insurance companies don't pay out when they're supposed to, on things that are very very clearly compensable.
Mm-hmm.
Automotive rates, that's another thing. They say, oh well, these lawyers are blowing up the settlement amounts that we have. They're making these numbers much bigger, and it's all the selling point is that it's supposed to bring insurance rates down, and they never do. It's these insurance companies, they pay professional football players, not just any professional football player, but like people on site, that, oh, that's so and so, he's the quarterback for whatever. They all pay them a very hefty salary to do those commercials. I mean, that's millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they pay out, just in advertising alone, tens of millions of dollars for that sort of stuff. Pay attention to the Super Bowl. I mean, like when you see Super Bowl ads, who's advertising? You'll see all the big name insurance companies. But they never talk about cutting that from their bottom line. It's always, well, how do we cut rates down by taking from people that have paid money in? And it's always you asked Michael about, do you think the system is gained against the little guy? I mean, that's kind of what it's geared towards. I mean, because if you have a reduction in the amount that a personal injury attorney is going to take, everybody's going to take a big case that pays out a lot of money, whether it's 20, 25, 30%, whatever the rate is. But they're not going to take the little ones, the sort of average, fender bender where somebody with state minimum coverage hits you and you break something, or you have to have surgery or something like that. They're not going to take that. And there's still going to be, difficult insurance companies to deal with, but you're not going to have the benefit of being able to find a lawyer that's going to take that case. That's what it means for the little guy. But it's always that idea or concept is packaged differently every year. And, if you look in the news, you'll see, I mean, you can find a dozen stories, on different news channels and that kind of thing about, homeowners rates and that sort of thing. And it's always, how can we take from the people how can insurance companies cut rates by taking what they would pay out to people making claims on different policies. It's never about like, well, we could cut money if we don't pay, this Hall of Fame wide receiver to advertise for whatever insurance company. So.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is, and it's still even complicated even when you're breaking it down for us a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Maybe that's it's probably a bad explanation, but it never changes anything as far as rates go. We do have caps here in Colorado about, we have caps on certain things. And it still doesn't move the needle at all. And the thing is, like the costs. So like, for example, when you're in a car wreck, right? And you have to go to, you got to take an ambulance ride to the emergency room. That cost over the course of 10 years doesn't go down. But what you might recover might, the state minimum insurance rates haven't changed in years.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem.
And back to like, people kind of doing the minimums, and I understand, financial constraints and that sort of stuff, but, the legislature never moves to change that. I mean, it's still, $25,000 per person up to $50,000 total. I mean, that's the minimum liability. I mean, you know what healthcare costs are. I mean, how long do you think it would take to exhaust that? It doesn't take much.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, all costs have skyrocketed so high.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
auto parts, new manufacturing, home construction costs, every piece of that. And then the healthcare piece is huge.
Right.
I mean, it is out of control.
Yeah.
So it's such a complex problem. So as we talk about like caps on fees, do you believe in like free market capitalism? Hey, the market should be what it should be, or limited government involvement, or like, how do you see that as you guys are interacting in a profession that I mean, my opinion is we're way overregulated on a state basis.
Sure.
And it's creating a lot of inefficiencies that are costing money to the consumers ultimately. But how do you see that as you guys kind of approach owning a business in that space?
I think it's a matter of reasonableness. I mean, like, it's the sort of one bad apple spoils the whole bunch.
Mhm.
I mean, people that overreach, if we could all just be a little more reasonable, I don't know. We sort of have this drive to get as much money as quick as you can. And so then you have sort of ethical concerns about that, whatever industry it is.
For sure.
Again, sort of an old saying from the part of the world I'm from, pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered.
Oh, yeah.
It's important, I think, to have some self-restraint, but not everybody can do that. And so then what happens? I mean, there's a place for regulation. I still think it's pretty easy in the state of Colorado to start a business. And, as a guy that came here from, not knowing anyone or anything like that, I'd like to see that environment continue. I don't know, how do you do that? How do you still make it a business friendly place? I mean, politicians will tell you tax structure and incentives for new businesses and that kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know all that stuff, but I think it's still a great place to start a business, to raise a family. As far as like, are we overregulated? Generally speaking, I don't know. I mean, you could find smart people to tell you,
can
yes,
just
smart
say
people
yes.
to say
That's
no.
okay, bro. It's okay.
I don't know. I mean, some things I think have to be, right. I mean, like some things should be regulated. Like how much radioactive material you have in your water that comes out of your tap should be regulated pretty closely. Now, what kind of red tape you want to put in front of a guy who wants to start a business selling widgets? That's a different story. I mean, but some things, I don't want to straddle the fence, but some things should be regulated. I don't disagree with that.
That's fair. Well, we're going to start landing this plane soon, but I have a final question for you. Unless you have a final question after
You're
my
good,
final
man.
question,
Hit
but your work.
Yes.
Let's talk about your work and what it actually, like, what it really means to you, Beau, as far as going to work, clocking in, clocking out every single day.
Do people clock in and clock out still?
Oh, maybe they don't. Metaphorically, clocking in, clocking in,
Yeah.
clocking out every
Clock in
day.
and out.
Yeah. It's been
Like,
a long time since I've
What does your work mean to you?
So I don't want to sound corny, but like I really did get into this line of work to help people. And we talked about attorneys and the law. You can get into a field of law where you never interact with anyone. If you're in-house, you have one client for whatever company. That's not what we do. We have clients from all walks of life. Guys that work on their tools, that turn wrenches. We've got we represent police officers, we represent doctors, lawyers. The whole cross section of the community. I enjoy that. I like helping people. I like people of different backgrounds. And so my job lets me kind of scratch that itch. And I do like to help people. I like to do favors for people. And Michael said earlier, we are a very specialized corner of the law. But we've made enough connections where we can get people to the right people for certain problems that maybe necessarily we don't deal with. And that's, it's a people business. I sort of half joke that I learned more about the practice of law from waiting tables about how to deal with people.
Yeah.
Then really those lessons I think were more valuable to me than a lot of stuff I learned in law school because I don't use half that stuff. So I just really enjoy being in a people business. And this community has given me so much. I'm always happy to give back in whatever way I can. So I'm happy to serve the people of this community.
Love it. Can I ask a final question?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going into a new year and I've been just polling people. Do you think 2026 is going to be a better year, and you can define it however you want to define it, than 2025? Are you optimistic? Are you like, hey, it's going to be about the same? Pessimistic? How are you feeling?
I hope it's a better year. So one of my let me say this. I'll end it on this note. I like to travel out of the country. I like to go different places. I know that, we as Americans get a lot of flack, sort of being the arrogant Americans. But whenever I go to any place overseas, it's always, any country in the world, it's always people imitating American culture. We are the trendsetters. We are the forefront of, you name it, culture, technology, business. I think we stay there. I'd like to see us expand upon that, and continue our global influence. I think America's the greatest country in the world, and when you're fortunate enough to get to go other places, I think that's when it really sets in. Because I went to France last summer. That was it's American music on the radio. It's American TV shows on TV. And that really stood out to me. That was like the one thing I took away from overseas travel was we really are, irrespective of who's in government or who the president is. I'm very proud to be from here. I won't apologize for being American when I go anywhere. And I hope that we maintain that. And so, I hope it's a better year. If it's the same as it was in 2025, I'm fine with that too. Just as long as we stay at the very forefront of, you name it, culture, business, law, that sort of thing.
That was the best answer I've gotten all day, man. That was awesome.
That was good, Beau.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dude, thank you so much for your time. This has been awesome. It's been so insightful. It's been like a 1-2 punch between the two of you guys. So it's been really great. Like I said, we learned a lot. I mean, there's a lot going on in our world, and I know there's a lot going on in your space. So we truly, truly appreciate you guys.
I appreciate you guys having me. I love the podcast. I've been listening for a long time. Love what you guys are doing. So keep up the good work.
Awesome, Beau. Well, this is your camera right here, by the way. Where can we find you?
You can find us at rectorlawfirm.com. 719-578-1106 is our office number. We're always happy to help. The consult's always free, no matter what the legal problem is.
Awesome.
Great.
That's great.
Well, this has been the Colorado Business Podcast, and we'll see you guys on the next one.